Welcome to Psychology Unlock. What if there are things you're holding on to that are silently weighing you down? Things you've been slowly letting go of without even realizing it. Highly spiritual people often experience this, finding themselves gradually quitting habits and mindsets that no longer serve them. It's not an overnight process. It happens quietly, over time. But what exactly are these things? Why do they matter so much to your spiritual growth? And how do they shape your life in ways you may not expect? We're about to uncover 6 profound things highly spiritual people quit slowly. These are the shifts that bring them closer to inner peace and a truer version of themselves. You might be surprised by what's on the list. Let's begin with something most of us struggle with but rarely notice. Number 1. Quitting the need for external validation. One of the first things highly spiritual people begin to let go of is the need for external validation. This is the desire for approval and affirmation from others, whether it's friends, family, or society at large. While it's natural to want to be accepted, spiritual growth teaches us that constantly seeking validation from others can be a trap. It can lead to a cycle of people-pleasing where you base your decisions, behaviors, and even your self-worth on how others perceive you. Over time, highly spiritual individuals realize that their value comes from within, not from external sources. They begin to shift their focus inward, trusting their own intuition and understanding that true fulfillment comes from aligning with their higher purpose, not from the opinions of others. They understand that no amount of external validation can fill the void that only inner peace and self-acceptance can provide. Quitting this need doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, deliberate process. Old habits of seeking approval may resurface from time to time, but spiritual people develop the awareness to recognize when they're slipping back into that mindset. They practice self-compassion, realizing that their journey is about progress, not perfection. As they slowly release the grip of external validation, they find themselves living more authentically. They become less concerned with fitting in and more focused on living in alignment with their true values and beliefs. They no longer allow the fear of judgment to dictate their actions and are able to express themselves freely without needing a stamp of approval from others. This freedom is one of the most powerful results of deep spiritual growth. Number 2. Letting go of material attachments. Highly spiritual people gradually learn to let go of material attachments, realizing that true fulfillment and happiness don't come from possessions. In a world that often measures success by what we own, cars, houses, gadgets, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that accumulating more will make us feel whole. However, spiritual growth leads to the understanding that material things are temporary and cannot provide lasting peace or contentment. Letting go of material attachments doesn't mean rejecting comfort or abundance. Instead, it's about recognizing that material things are tools, not the source of your identity or happiness. Spiritual people understand that when we cling too tightly to possessions, we create a sense of dependence on them. This dependence can lead to fear of losing what we have, fear of not having enough, and ultimately fear of being incomplete without these external symbols of success. The process of releasing material attachments is slow and deliberate. Highly spiritual individuals start by cultivating gratitude for what they already have. Instead of constantly seeking more, they focus on appreciating the present moment and the non-material aspects of life, such as relationships, experiences, and inner peace. As they let go, they become less concerned with the pursuit of wealth and possessions and more focused on cultivating a sense of inner abundance. This shift allows them to live more simply and with intention, placing value on what truly matters: love, connection, purpose, and spiritual growth. Over time, this practice brings freedom. No longer burdened by the need to acquire more, spiritual people find that they can experience joy and contentment from within, untethered to the fleeting satisfaction that material items once promised. Number 3. Releasing the need for control. One of the most transformative shifts highly spiritual people undergo is releasing the need for control. In life, there is an inherent desire to shape outcomes, manage circumstances, and predict what's coming next. But as spiritual growth deepens, individuals realize that this constant attempt to control everything is not only exhausting, but also impossible. Control stems from fear. Fear of uncertainty, fear of failure, and fear of the unknown. It's human nature to want to avoid discomfort or protect ourselves from unexpected outcomes. However, highly spiritual people come to understand that life is a dynamic flow, full of unpredictability. They realize that trying to control every aspect of life is like trying to control the wind, an endless and fruitless task. Letting go of control is not about passivity or giving up on goals and aspirations. Instead, it's about embracing trust. Trust in the process, in the universe, and in the belief that things unfold as they should, even if they don't always go according to plan. Spiritual individuals practice surrender, not as a form of weakness, but as an act of courage. They understand that surrendering to life's flow allows them to respond with grace, adaptability, and peace. As they release the need for control, they stop resisting change. This allows them to approach life with more ease, knowing that challenges and setbacks are often opportunities for growth. By relinquishing control, spiritual people open themselves to greater possibilities, allowing life to surprise them in beautiful and unexpected ways. This surrender leads to inner peace. Instead of feeling anxious or stressed about what's next, they live in the present moment, trusting that they have the strength and wisdom to navigate whatever comes their way. Number 4. Abandoning toxic relationships. Highly spiritual people gradually abandon toxic relationships as part of their journey toward greater self-awareness and inner peace. Toxic relationships can drain energy, disrupt emotional balance, and hinder personal growth. These relationships often involve manipulation, negativity, or emotional abuse, keeping individuals stuck in patterns that prevent them from evolving spiritually. One of the key realizations on the spiritual path is the understanding of self-worth. As people grow spiritually, they become more in tune with their emotional and mental well-being, recognizing when a relationship is harmful. They start to see that they deserve respect, love, and support, and anything less becomes intolerable. While breaking away from toxic relationships can be difficult, especially when they involve close family members or longtime friends, spiritual individuals understand that this process is necessary for their well-being. The process of abandoning toxic relationships involves setting boundaries. Spiritual individuals learn to protect their energy and emotional health by distancing themselves from those who consistently bring negativity into their lives. They practice compassion, not only for others, but also for themselves, knowing that letting go is an act of self-love, not selfishness. However, letting go of toxic relationships doesn't happen overnight. Spiritual people often struggle with guilt, fear of loneliness, or the desire to fix the other person. Yet they come to realize that they cannot change someone else's behavior, only their own response to it. Over time, they develop the strength to detach from toxic individuals while still holding on to love and forgiveness. As they abandon these harmful connections, spiritual people create space for healthy, uplifting relationships. They surround themselves with people who inspire, support, and uplift them, which allows for deeper personal and spiritual growth. This newfound freedom fosters emotional healing and strengthens their connection to their higher self. Number 5. Ceasing to compromise your authentic self. Highly spiritual people gradually stop compromising their authentic selves, realizing that true spiritual growth requires living in alignment with who they really are. In a world filled with societal expectations, peer pressure, and cultural norms, it's easy to fall into the trap of conforming to what others want or expect from us. However, spiritual awakening teaches that compromising your true self leads to inner conflict, frustration, and even a sense of emptiness. Spiritual people understand that authenticity is key to both personal fulfillment and spiritual alignment. When they compromise their values, beliefs, or desires to fit in or avoid rejection, they disconnect from their true essence. Over time, this creates a sense of dissonance, a feeling of being out of sync with themselves. Highly spiritual individuals become aware of this dissonance and realize that living authentically is not just a personal choice, but a spiritual necessity. The journey to stop compromising often begins with deep self-reflection. Spiritual people engage in practices like meditation, prayer, and journaling to reconnect with their inner selves. They ask important questions. What do I really want? What are my core values? What brings me joy and peace? The answers to these questions help them rediscover their true selves and begin to live in accordance with their inner truth. Ceasing to compromise the authentic self requires courage. It often means making difficult decisions, like leaving a job that doesn't align with their values or distancing themselves from relationships that no longer support their growth. It might also involve taking a stand for their beliefs, even when those beliefs are unpopular or misunderstood. As they stop compromising, highly spiritual people experience a profound sense of freedom and empowerment. They no longer feel the need to wear masks or live according to someone else's script. Instead, they live boldly, expressing their true nature without fear or apology, which leads to deeper fulfillment and a greater sense of peace. Number 6. Quitting the fear of death. Highly spiritual people slowly let go of the fear of death, recognizing that life and death are part of a greater divine cycle. For many, the fear of death stems from uncertainty, the unknown of what happens when we leave this world. However, spiritual growth opens individuals to a deeper understanding of existence, one that transcends physical life and connects to a higher spiritual reality. As they evolve, spiritual individuals begin to view death not as an end, but as a transition. Different spiritual traditions, whether they believe in reincarnation, eternal life, or becoming one with the universe, share the idea that death is not final. With this shift in perspective, death becomes less frightening. Rather than being paralyzed by the fear of the unknown, spiritual people embrace the mystery of life beyond the physical realm. Quitting the fear of death often involves confronting and releasing deep-rooted anxieties. Many spiritual people find comfort through practices like meditation, prayer, and contemplation of the afterlife. These practices help them connect with a sense of peace, assuring them that the soul continues its journey after death. They learn to trust in the natural flow of life, understanding that everything is interconnected and that death is simply a part of this flow. This gradual release of fear also changes how they live. Spiritual people begin to focus more on the present moment, knowing that life is precious and not guaranteed. They stop living in fear of what's to come and instead embrace life with gratitude, curiosity, and purpose. With the fear of death diminished, they become more at ease with the inevitable cycles of life, including aging and loss, and they find peace in accepting that all things are temporary. By letting go of the fear of death, highly spiritual individuals ultimately discover a deeper sense of freedom. They no longer live with a looming sense of dread, but instead trust in the process of life, death, and what lies beyond, allowing them to live more fully and fearlessly.